Welcome to Vedic Astronomy Initiation and Exposure classes. Lagad Vedanga. Lagad Vedanga, as we know, is a pair of scriptures. Sadhakas, students, teachers and scholars are welcome. There are 49 distinct shlokas of both the scriptures. At initial stage, we will be taking up 7 shlokas as a group. Shloka 2 of Rigved, Lagad Vedanga, and shlokas 1 to 6 of Yajurved Vedanga are being taken up as a first class, as a first group. Out of 49 shlokas, distinct shlokas of both the Vedangas, we are taking up 7 of them. These 7 are Shloka 2 of Rigved and shlokas 1 to 6 of Yajurved Vedanga. We know that Shloka 1 of both the Vedangas, Rigved and Yajurved Vedanga, is the same text. Shloka 1 of Rigved and Yajurved Vedanga is common. It is a common text. As such, the initiation exposure of the Vedic astronomy as preserved as Lagad Vedanga is to be initiated in terms of the values, features and formats of Shloka 1. Shloka 1 is the text which is having first formulation Panch, the second formulation is Sanvanstar, third formulation is Yug, fourth formulation is Adhyaksh, fifth formulation is Parjapatim. Shloka 1 is of 2 parts. The first part of the text of Shloka 1 is a setup of 5 formulations. These 5 formulations are Panch with simple rendering 5, Sanvanstar with simple rendering Varsh as a year, Yug means a duration, creation's existence, phenomenon, unit. Adhyaksh is the presiding deity, and presiding deity is Parjapati, Lord Brahma. Creator is Parjapati. Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme, has the responsibility of having complete sustenance of the creations. These 5 formulations as such shall be first of all tabulated with their simple rendering, and thereafter we shall try to reach at the technical meanings, formulations, the mathematical values, features and formats. The first formulation is Panch. It is of value 5, and this value 5 will be ultimately taking us to 5 space, and from here also we will be reaching at the 5th element, which is Akash. The first formulation is Panch. Its simple rendering is 5, and from value 5 we will be reaching at 5 space, and also we will be reaching at the 5th element, that is Akash, a space. Therefore, this formulation Panch shall be tabulated distinctively. Open a new page in the Vedic Astronomy notebook. The first formulation is Panch. Panch means 5. This 5 is parallel to 5 space. From 5 space we will be also reaching at the 5th element. The first element is Prithvi, earth. Second element is Apa, water. Third element is Agni, fire. Fourth element is Vayu, air. And fifth element is Akash, space. Therefore, this scripture is a scripture of values, features and format of the fifth element, that is the space. The Vedic astronomy as such is the discipline of the values, features and formats of space. This discipline, Vedic astronomy, is the discipline of the space. We are being initiated and exposed to values, features and formats of a space. Lagda Vedanga is initiating itself in terms of a formulation Panch. Therefore, the basic formulation is Panch, and this formulation deserves to be comprehended. One shall be face to face with it, as in fact it is the foundation formulation. Value 5 is the foundation value. 5 space is the foundation feature and format. The chase of Vedic astronomy is in terms of values, features and format of 5 space. We know hypercube of 5 is the representative regular body of 5 space. Further, we know Lord Shiv is the overlord of the transcendental domain. 5 space is a transcendental domain. So value 5, 5 space and 5 space body, 5 space content, all these are the phenomenon, concepts, values, features, formats which are simultaneously attracted. With the formulation Panch, we are inviting this whole range of values, features and formats of value 5, 5 space, 5 space content, 5 space body, hypercube of 5, the representative body, 5 space, transcendental domain of 5 space as a domain, as a transcendental domain, and all connected values and features of 5 space presided by Lord Shiv, transcendental Lord, 5 space Lord, and then with it we will be inviting that 3 space in the role of a dimension, 4 space in the role of a boundary, 5 space in the role of domain, and 6 space in the role of the origin. This fourfold manifestation layer, a step ahead, will help us have translation and transcendence to 5th fold, that is base fold, is of value 7, and these values together, a transcendence range, a solid order transcendence range as it is, will be leading us to value 25, and we know 25 is the value of the formulation Vishnu, the overlord of a 6 space. One shall have a pause here. One shall sit comfortably. One shall be face to face with the transcendental domain. This transcendental domain is the space. It is the space which is enveloping our sun, Surya, six space body. So this discipline is the discipline of a space which is enveloping Surya, sun, six space. So six space body is being taken as a domain, as a self-referral domain in a static state. So six space is in a static state, and this six space body is Surya, is enveloped by a space, a transcendental domain, a five space. As such, five space is the space which is creating a transcendental boundary of a Surya. Therefore, this discipline of Vedic astronomy, as is preserved as Lagda Vedangas, is the discipline of the space which is enveloping the Surya. So our solar universe, as it is being chased, taking it to be that sun is in a static state and it is enveloped by a transcendental boundary. This transcendental boundary is actually a five space content. Therefore, five space content is enveloping six space, our solar universe, with sun as a center, Surya at the center, is of placement as being enveloped by a five space content. Five space content is enveloping Surya, sun. Five space content envelope is creating a transcendental boundary. This boundary is going to be of a six space, so taking us to the value a raised to power 6 is to 12 p raised to power 5. And therefore, this discipline of Vedic astronomy, with sun in a static state and it being enveloped by a transcendental content as a transcendental boundary of our solar universe. This transcendental boundary of the solar universe is of 12 components. These 12 components as such would mean that we shall be chasing, we shall be exploring, we shall be visiting, we shall be analyzing, we shall be comprehending, we shall be reaching at the values, features and formats of our solar universe as a space, as a transcendental content enveloping sun, and it is being of a 12 components. Therefore, this boundary, this transcendental boundary of the sun is being chased as 12 units chase. It is this 12 units chase which is the feature. For it, we will be reaching at that how this value, when we will be reaching at 4, then we will be noticing that there is a formulation Dwadas. This formulation is there here in Shloka 4, and in Shloka 4 is also the formulation Shat, which would mean 6. So this pair of formulations, when we'll be sequentially reaching from Shloka 1 and reaching up till Shloka 4, then we will be noticing that this feature of the solar universe enveloped within a space of 5 space content as a transcendental boundary of 12 components, and the basic format is a raised to power 6 is to 12 b raised to power 5. A raised to power 6 is to 12 b raised to power 5 is the format. Here a raised to power 6 is a domain, it is sun and it is in a static state. We are having sun in a static state and we are chasing as the space as a transcendental boundary enveloping the sun. It is this transcendental boundary which is the enveloping the sun is to become the parikrama path, the pilgrimage path or the translation path of the earth. One shall make a specific note as that Vedic astronomy as is preserved in Lagad Vedanga is a discipline of values, features and format of the space around the sun as a five-space content, as a transcendental boundary of 12 components being the translation path of the earth. Therefore, this formulation punch is to be evaluated further by having a chase that it is a formulation which is accepting a TC value 15, and we know value 15 is equal to 1 into 3 into 5, which is equal to the solid dimensional axis. So 5 space is a space which is a solid order space. 3 space is playing the role of a dimension here. There are as many as 5 dimensions. So 5 solid dimensions together leading to value 15. Therefore, the formulation punch is unfolding its inner values as that it is value 5, it is 5 space, it is 5 space as a domain, it is a dimensional frame, solid dimensional frame of 5 dimensions. Therefore, this formulation as such is bringing us face to face with the setup of a 5 space, setup of a 5 space content lump manifesting as domain fold within a solid dimensional frame of 5 solid dimensions. One may have a pause here and take note that Lord Shiv, the transcendental Lord, is the overlord or is the presiding deity of the 5 space of the transcendental domain. Further, we know that Lord Shiv is a 5-head Lord with the triple eyes in each head. Therefore, the Lord Shiv is having 5 heads. Each head is equipped with triple eyes, and Lord is having 10 beautiful arms. Within the cavity of heart of Lord Shiv is the seat of a self-referential rod, that means 6 spaces playing the role of an origin, and this is taking us to a unity state. Therefore, ultimately these formulations of idol of Lord Brahma and of hypercube of 5 are taking us to the transcendence range, that is a solid order transcendence range of value 25, and value 25 is the TCB value of Lord Vishnu, the overlord of a 6 space. Let us have a pause here. Let us sit comfortably and let us permit the transcending mind to be face to face with all these features, and one shall express oneself fully. Let us make an elaborative note about the formulation punch, as the formulation punch is the basic foundational formulation. It is in terms of this basic foundational formulation that the discipline of the Lagd Jyotish Vedanga is to sequentially unfold itself from within. It is this sequential unfolding of the values, features and format of Lagad Jyotish Vedanga from within the formulation 5, which is going to be the basic insight. The basic insight and the parallel appropriate enlightenment about the values, features and format of the Lagd Jyotish Vedanga is going to be the insight and enlightenment of the transcendental domain, that is of the 5 space domain, that is of 5 space, that is transcendental domain presided by the transcendental Lord Shiv. As such, this Akash, this 5th element, so Akash Tattva the fifth element as such is the element in terms of which we shall be having initiation and exposure of the values, features and format of the Vedic astronomy as is preserved and is being availed as a format by the Lagda Jyotish Vedanga. Now let us concentrate upon the second formulation. The second formulation is Sanvatsar. The simple rendering of Sanvatsar is Varsh, that is year. Sanvatsar is a formulation. Simple rendering of formulation Sanvatsar is Varsh, a year. So from value formulation Panch to formulation Sanvatsar, we are now reaching at the year. That means this translation path is a path which is giving us a time scale, time units. A timeline is being formed. Therefore, the Jyotish Vedanga, Lagda Jyotish Vedanga, is having a translation path, a transcendental content as a boundary of the sun. This translation path is being chased as a timeline. Make a note that Panch Sanvatsar together gives us a simple rendering 5 years. Therefore 5 years duration is becoming the timeline unit. Make a note that the Lagda Jyotish Vedanga is following, chasing the translation path of the earth around the sun as a transcendental boundary, as Akash Tattva, as a timeline. The timeline unit is 5 years duration. 5 years duration is the meaning of the pair of formulations Panch Sanvatsar. This Panch Sanvatsar is a concept. This concept would mean 5 years duration. This 5 years duration is a time unit. In terms of this unit, the translation path, the transcendental boundary around the sun is being scaled. Jyotish Vedanga, Lagda Jyotish Vedanga is scaling the translation of the earth around the sun as Akash Tattva, space element, manifesting as the transcendental boundary, 5 space content manifesting as the boundary, 5 space content enveloping the sun. So our solar universe is being comprehended, viewed and conceived as a setup of a 5 space content. 5 space content is fulfilling the solar universe. Vedic astronomy values, features and format of Lagda Vedanga are that this space around the sun, the space enveloping the sun, is a transcendental space. It is Akash Tattva. It is a 5 space. So 5 space is creating enveloping boundary of the sun. This enveloping boundary as such be taken that sun is in a static state and this whole content is making a solar universe. Therefore solar universe is a universe fulfilled with 5 space content. 5 space content fulfilling this space is the concept is the initial formulation, initial format. Further we will see that this 5 space as a sphere, a Brahmand, is having center as a 6 space in a static state. Earth is translating around the sun along this enveloping boundary, transcendental domain space. This transcendental boundary is a 5 space content manifestation. Therefore, our solar universe is be taken here as fulfilled by, enveloped by a 5 space content. Therefore, we are taking a sphere fulfilled with a 5 space content. Now, this sphere which is fulfilled with a 5 space content, as such, we will see ultimately would be chased as a pair of hemispheres. This concept of pair of hemispheres is the concept where we will reach when we will be face to face with the formulation N. This means a sphere, half sphere, a semi-sphere. Therefore, this formulation Panchsanvatsar as a 5 years duration as a timeline unit is the unit in terms of which the translation of the earth is being scaled by the Prajapati, means by the Lord Brahma, the overlord of a 4 space. The overlord of a 4 space is supervising, presiding this translation of the earth. We have seen that our space as such becomes a space which is fulfilled with a 5 space content, and this 5 space content space is making it of a northern hemisphere ion 1 and southern hemisphere ion 2. So this sphere of 5 space content is a synthetic setup of a northern hemisphere and of a southern hemisphere. Therefore, this northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere technical formulation is N. This N is the formulation, and further we know this N is a value 9, 2 and 1. It is equal to 12. Therefore, we know that a raised to power 6 is to 12 e raised to power 5. There are 12 components. There are 12 components of the transcendental boundary. These 12 components of the transcendental boundary, we know that 6 space is having 4 space in the role of dimension, but 4 space itself is having 2 space as dimension of dimension. Therefore, this domain, this 6 into 4 is going to be the self-referral domain, 6 space domain dimensional frame. So it is value 24. This value is being chased as 12 and 12. This chase of 12 and 12 is going to be that the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere as such are having a half of the self-referral dimensional frame, 6 space, and here as well is going to be half of the dimensional frame. Therefore, inherently in this format, 6 space which is in a static state, sun in a static state. Sun is a 6 space body. This 6 space body is having a dimensional frame of 6 creative dimensions. 6 creative dimensions are making a value 24. It is this value 24 which itself is being organized as a synthetic chase format of value 12 and 12. Therefore, this Lord Brahma, the overlord, presiding over the setup of this transcendental sphere, 5 space fulfilled sphere, 5 space content fulfilled sphere is being presided by Lord Brahma, fourth space Lord. Therefore, fourth space Lord is presiding the synthetic setup, existence phenomenon of a transcendental sphere. Five sphere fulfilled with five space content is a synthetic setup of a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere. Now this synthetic setup as of a pair of ions and pair of hemispheres is the setup, and we know there are 12 months, mass means month, the 12 months. These features of these formulations as such as these are take us to a concept of a Kal Purush, means personified time. Let us make a note that Shloka 1 is conceptualizing and is having a chase as a personified time. We have to personify the time, means we have to give a Purusha format, means 6 space format. We have to supply 6 space body, 6 space format to a time. Call a time. Call a time. Time is being put within a body, Purusha, a 6 space body. Therefore, 6 space body is being availed to have a personified time. Time is being personified as a Purusha, as a 6 space body. Therefore, a 6 space body is being availed as a format. Lagd Jyotish Vedanga is availing time as a personified Purusha. Time is being approached as a phenomenon within a body of a man, body of a Purusha, a 6 space body. Chase of the time is as of a body within a 6-dimensional frame. So 6-dimensional frame is the frame of the time. This time is being chased as a timeline. This timeline is parallel to the transcendental boundary of the Surya. This transcendental boundary of the Surya is a space fulfilled with 5 space content. This 5 space content fulfilled sphere is a synthetic setup of a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere. And then this synthetic setup as such is being presided by Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme, the overlord of a real 4 space, the overlord of a spatial order 4 space. Therefore, this chase of the translation path of the earth around the sun along the format of a transcendental boundary of 5 space content is being chased in terms of a time unit of 5 years duration, and further it is going to be a chase as of a spatial order. Therefore, the timeline of the format of the transcendental boundary as such is being chased as a spatial order setup. Therefore, the timeline is being chased as a circumference. So from linear order, shift is going to be upon a spatial order. It is this feature which is going to be the basic chase feature. So let us revisit what we have conceived so far. Surya Sun is in a static state. Surya is enveloped within a transcendental boundary of 5 space content. This 5 space content makes a transcendental boundary of 12 components. These 12 components setup is of a spatial order, so makes it a 12 and 12, 24 components. This makes a setup of a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere. This phenomenon of northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere is having a synthetic setup of a spatial order. Being of a spatial order, it creates a 4 space. This means it leads to the Lord Brahma, Creator, the Supreme. One may have a pause here and be face to face with the existence phenomenon as the phenomenon of a earth translating in a space. Earth is initially to be taken as a domain, as a third fold, as a 3 space domain. So this 3 space domain is translating within a space. As the earth is translating, as earth is in a motion, it acquires a degree of a freedom of motion along the freedom of motion as the 4th dimension. Therefore, the motion of the earth, the translation of the earth as a 3-fold domain, as a third domain, as a third fold, now as a 3 space, as a 3 space body, as a 3-dimensional setup, is having a translation within a space. Therefore, the space becomes a 4 space, and the degree of freedom of motion becomes the 4th dimension. As such, the entire existence phenomenon of the translation of the earth around the sun becomes a phenomenon which is to be ultimately having a chase within a creator's space. Therefore, we have to begin with a 4 space as the basic space. It is of a spatial order space. This space is having 5 space as a origin, and the origin of the origin is a 6 space. Therefore, sun is at the place of a origin. This phenomenon of compactified state, this is the compactified state of origins. So let us begin for the translation of earth as a 3 space body. Then this translation will be having a degree of freedom of motion. It will be taking us to a 4 space. 4 space is having a 5 space as a origin. However, 4 space being a spatial order, so it will be taking us along the 2nd dimension to a 6 space. So here is a sun. We have to reach from here to here, and this reach is going to be 3, 4, 5 and 6, which is a hypercube 5. Therefore, whole chase is going to be of hypercube 5 within hypercube 4. So 4 space is the space frame. Within it we are having 5 space as a motion, as a dynamic state, and it is this dynamic state which ultimately having a chase for the static Surya, a sun, 6 space body. Therefore, these are a long chain of facts, long chain of features which together are making a format. This format is the format which is to be faced, to be comprehended in terms of formulation Panch and Sanvatsar. Then Yug is going to be the phenomenon, a phenomenon presided by Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme, and it will be making days, seasons, and making it northern and southern hemispheres, masses as the organs, and a complete field and complete chase. It is this purified state, sublime state, which is going to be the ultimate values, features and format inherently being availed, being worked out by the Vedic astronomy as Lagd Jyotish Vedanga. Therefore, to have a proper comprehension, to have a full insight, to have an appropriate enlightenment about the format beneath the organization of the chase steps of Lagd Jyotish Vedanga, let us revisit the formulations of the Shloka 1 and then let us approach it as a Kal Purush, as a personified time. We have to approach the format of the processing steps of Lagd Jyotish Vedanga in terms of a personified time. Time is to be taken as a Purusha, as within a body. Time is having a body. This body is a Purusha. It is a 6-space setup. It is of the order of the Surya itself. Therefore, Surya is in a static state, but its values, features and format are being availed as a time. This time as a personified body. Now this personified body as it is being taken in a static state. Now this time as a timeline goes along the transcendental boundary. This transcendental boundary as a translation path is going to be within a creator space, within a force space. Being within a force space, it is of a spatial order. Because of a spatial order, the sphere, the solar universe, becomes a synthetic setup of a pair of hemispheres. The dimensional frames as well become the synthetic setups of pair of dimensional frames of half dimensions. All these features are the basic features, foundational features, and in terms of these foundational features, only we can reach at the processing steps and mathematics of the Jyotish Vedanga and as such of a Vedic astronomy. Therefore, it be taken as a blissful exercise and one shall sequentially chase these formulations, and as we will be chasing the formulation punch being of a TC value 15. So when we will chase the formulation Sanvatsar, the second, it will be taking us to value 33. And we know value 33 is equal to 15 plus 18. And further we know the values 1 to 18 give us factors 1 to 33. Wonderful thing how the three-dimensional frame is splitting into a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions. And it is this setup when it will be splitting, it will be creating a 4 space with 5 space as a origin. All these features are there. We have to be face to face with it. One who has fully comprehended, one is fully face to face with the format features of the Shloka 1, he can say that he is really on the learning path, on the processing paths parallel to the processing steps of Lagd Jyotish Vedanga. Thank you very much.